Hello there. You are very welcome to our masterclass on healing and moving on from a traumatic relationship experience. I'm genuinely pleased that you have taken this huge step toward your healing. One of the many reasons I created this masterclass is because almost on a daily basis, I receive messages from women who are still stuck, still trying to move on from experiences that happened decades ago in their lives. I see elderly women, now grandmothers, bitter and frustrated from what life served them in their younger years. I see young women who have been married more than once, yet continue to experience deep betrayal. I have someone very close to me who is still battling the consequences of a bad marriage. The emotional pain even led to complicated health issues for her. She's left to manage the rest of her life with medications, something she never bargained for, something she never imagined. How would you get married hoping to be happy and end up like this? Who would imagine such a thing? Who wants that for herself? This is why it is so important for us as women to be intentional about healing so that the pain of the past does not control our lives or affect our well-being. We still have to keep living for ourselves. You see, I have seen too many women broken, deeply hurt from relationships where they gave their all only to be met with betrayal and disappointment. Some of these betrayals run so deep that they can feel like a life sentence. Some women have even lost their lives because they loved and chose the wrong person. So if you are here today, let us first take a moment to be thankful for the gift of life and for this opportunity to start building again. But before we go further, I want you to pause for a moment and just breathe. Yes, you heard me. Just breathe and relax. Now, take just a moment to notice how your body feels right now. Where exactly do you feel the heaviness of this heartbreak? As you ponder over that, let me ask you something. How many nights have you stayed up replaying what went wrong in your relationship, asking yourself if you will ever feel whole again? If you will ever feel like your real self again and wondering where you went wrong or what you even did wrong. How many mornings have you woken up exhausted and drained, wondering if you will ever move past the pain, wishing you could undo everything and make it disappear like magic? I know exactly how that feels. I've experienced it firsthand and I've seen it in so many women I have worked with. That feeling of being stuck, scared, and completely alone, even when people around you think you're fine, it feels heavy. It feels so confusing. And most of all, it feels very lonely. The silent cries, the constant thoughts, the begging for forgiveness, even when you're not exactly sure what you did wrong. You just want things to go back how it used to be. Honestly, my dear, heartbreak is one of the most crushing pains a person can experience in life. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, not even an enemy. The constant overthinking, tossing and turning in bed, unable to sleep, it can feel so unbearable. I have been through it myself, but I don't want to bore you with my story right now. That's not why we're here today. I just want you to know that I truly understand. I'm not talking about it just for the sake of talking. I speak from experience as someone who has lived it. My name is Hajara Sani. I am a certified counselor, relationship coach, and I am the founder of Deep Healing Counseling and Coaching, a platform dedicated to helping singles and couples navigate emotional pain, build healthy relationships, and truly heal. And the reason I decided to hold this master class now is because of a woman I met recently who was going through one of the most difficult phases of her life. Her marriage had just ended. Even though part of her felt relieved, she was deeply traumatized by everything she had been through and needed to heal. Let me tell you a little about her. Let's call her Lara. That's not her real name, though. Lara was married for almost 10 years to her sweetheart, her college sweetheart. I met her almost 9 months after she left the marriage that had drained her completely. Yet, she was barely surviving each day. Even after almost 9 months of the broken marriage, she could not move on. Getting out of bed felt like a struggle. Facing the world alone terrified her. Every decision felt impossible. Her mind was constantly replaying memories, regrets, and what ifs. She told me that. I don't even know who I am anymore. I feel like I will never move on. I really felt for her. She couldn't sleep at night because her mind wouldn't stop replaying argument betrayals and all the ways she felt she had failed. Everything she endured, despite not wanting the marriage to end like this, it still ended like this. She felt anxious anytime she stepped out, afraid of judgment, afraid of loneliness. Inside, she felt so broken, like a shadow of herself. If that sounds familiar, my dear, I want you to hear this carefully. That feeling, the fear, the emptiness, the sense of being trapped is what keeps many women from healing. It holds them back from healing. But here is something important I want you to understand. Healing is very possible, but it happens in steps gradually. Lara did not wake up one day and suddenly felt better. Healing started for her when she stopped fighting her pain and began to understand it. She started with small things, writing down her thoughts, facing her fears little by little, and allowing herself to grieve without shame. We worked together for so long. We worked together to help her to release the pain safely without letting it control her life. She was so bitter inside, so she needed to release the pain safely. And slowly, she started to feel like herself again. So now, after all I've mentioned till this point, ask yourself this. What is one small action you could take today to honor yourself or give your heart a moment of relief? Write it down on a paper. So now let's continue, okay? I hope you have written it down. So now let's continue. Like I was saying, eventually, Lara started looking in the mirror and recognizing the woman staring back at her. She could now see herself unlike before because now something is different. Now she reminded herself that she is worthy, she is strong, and she deserves happiness. She knows she's beautiful. And everything that happened to her because it was meant to happen, not because she deserved, anything like that. She started talking, she started taking small daily actions that gave her life meaning again. Morning reflections, small goals, and simple acts of self-care. And then something shifted for her. She realized that moving on does not mean forgetting the past or pretending it didn't happen. No, it simply means reclaiming your life despite the experience you have had. In fact, about 2 months later, Dara said to me, I actually feel like I am breathing again. I am not just surviving, I am living. I can finally see a future full of hope again. I was happy. The day she told me that, I felt very happy. And that's the truth, my dear sisters. Heartbreak is not a life sentence. You can heal. You can reclaim your joy. You can feel whole again. But you have to be willing to do the work and not allow the hurt to consume you or steal your peace. Let it go. What has happened has happened. But you need to regain your peace. Let me share something personal now with you, even though I earlier said I was not going to dwell on it. In my own case, ages ago, I was engaged to this very dashing young man who felt like a dream come true. A prayer point finally answered after long nights of praying to God. Everything was going fine, and then boom, my hard-earned fiancé just caught up and changed. I was so shattered. I didn't see it coming. What is this, Our conversations became forced and strange. What confused me the most was that there was no fight at all. I never knew things like this can happen when there was no fight. I always used to think there has to be a reason. Honestly, in my own case, nothing like that. Because the last time we saw each other, everything was fine. And then boom, things just changed like that. That period gave me countless sleepless nights. I begged him to tell me what was happening, what I did wrong. I did things I never imagined I would do. Our families had already exchanged kola nuts, and people kept asking me how far. They kept asking me for the wedding date, not knowing what I was going through inside. I was breaking inside. It was one of the most traumatic periods of my life. And even though that was years ago, today when women come to me with similar or even worse experiences, I can relate because I understand. Now, here is something very important I want you to learn. Heartbreak doesn't just hurt emotionally. No, it affects your sleep, your energy, your focus, and even your confidence. It affects your ability to trust again. It can even affect your future relationships if you are not careful, and even your physical health if care is not taken. And if you don't take intentional steps, it can keep you stuck in the same painful cycle, replaying the past over and over again. But healing is possible, and it starts with intentional actions. First, you must release the past. Do not suppress your feelings. Let them out. through writing, talking, or processing them in a safe space. At first, Lara did not even know what to do with how she was feeling. She was angry, she was bitter, she was sad, and she felt stuck. And deep down, she felt like a failure, not because she didn't try, but because her marriage ended and she didn't understand how her life got here. This was not what she planned for her life. She never bargained for this. Everything felt heavy. Then, with guidance, Lara started doing something very simple but very powerful. She began writing letters to herself about her marriage. Not to send to her ex, not to explain herself to anybody, but to release what she had been carrying inside. She poured her heart into those letters, her emotions, her pain, the questions she never got answers to. She poured them inside her letter, and slowly something eventually changed. She started feeling lighter. She could actually breathe again. Her mind became calmer. That's when healing truly began for her. You see, one of the first things you must do after heartbreak is to rebuild your self worth. Because heartbreak does not just break relationships, it breaks how you see yourself. It makes you doubt your value. It makes you question your choices. And if care is not taken, it hardens you. You become bitter, defensive, easily triggered, always on the edge. You may have noticed this trait in some women, maybe at work, on social media, that is by their comments, or even within yourselves. Does that sound familiar? Can you feel it? But the truth is this: living like that is not just emotionally draining, it affects your physical health too. And nobody deserves to live in constant emotional tension. That's why you must intentionally remind yourself of your value. Speak life into yourself daily. Surround yourself with things that support your healing and create distance from anything that reopens the wound. Another important step is that you must create a path forward. Don't remain stuck, especially if your pain is still fresh. Honestly, everything may look gloomy and you may feel unmotivated, but this is not the end of your life. You still have a future ahead of you. Decide what the next chapter of your life will look like. Take small steps. Even if it is 30 minutes a day, doing something meaningful can actually begin to restore your confidence. Healing is not magic. Healing is not overnight. Healing is intentional and healing is easier with the proper guidance. And that is exactly why I created the Heart Healing and Moving On course so that you stop feeling stuck. This is a self paced, guided healing journey for women just like you, women who are tired of pretending they are fine when they are actually not. Inside this course, you will learn everything you need to know to help you to move on. You will learn how to safely release emotional pain, how to rebuild your self worth, how to create a clear, realistic plan for your next chapter. There are so many things you'll be learning in this course, but I cannot start mentioning all of them here. You'll get to know all of it later when you click. You won't just be learning, you will be supported. You will get transformed to a new, stronger, and better version of yourself. Because healing is actually easier when you are not walking alone. Lara went through this same course after our first one on one session, and today she's thriving, she's hopeful, she's confident, very hopeful, and living her life on her own terms. And she's excited about her future again. For the first time in many years, she feels very optimistic. I did it, I healed. She did it, and there is nothing stopping you from doing it too. Now, imagine this: imagine waking up tomorrow and feeling even a little lighter than you feel today. How would that feel for you, my dear sister? Don't suffer alone in silence. Don't keep stressing your fragile heart. Stop replaying everything in your mind over and over again, wishing you had done things differently. Let the past stay in the past, my dear. Broken heart syndrome is real. Emotional stress is real. BP is real. And depression is real. Your heart deserves healing. Your life deserves peace. And you deserve to step into your next chapter without fear and without pain, without anything holding you back. And guess what? Today I have something very special for you because for the first 10 women who take action right now, you get over 50% discount on the Heart Healing and Moving On course. Instead of paying the full price, you pay just less than half of the real amount. And that's not all. When you get it now, you also receive exclusive free bonuses designed to support your healing journey, including my special ebooks that helped me too. Step by step emotional release exercises and access to a supportive community of women walking the same path. Everything you need to know to help you reclaim your life is included in this package. This is your moment to rise again, to shine again, and to thrive again. So don't sweat it out. Don't postpone your healing. Take the first step today. You are worthy, you are capable, and you are not alone. Start your journey toward peace, confidence, and joy. Click the link under this video and gain instant access now to start thriving again. See you in the inside.